Good morning, good day, y'all. This is Tracy Brown, your somatic dietitian and attuned eating specialist. And I am here. I just took a few minutes before I even hopped on here live because it is finally cooling off. And I'm so happy. Oh, it feels good. I've just spent 2 or 3 minutes here just like, oh, I'm not sweating. I'm just sitting. It's lovely. I'm going to make sure my volume's okay. There you go, that's better. So I got my coffee here, and I do hear some neighborhood noise, but I hope you don't hear that. But anyway, I hope you're having a great day whenever you're watching this. All right, so this is Q&A Friday, so if you have any questions, please put it below. I'll be able to stay a few extra minutes to answer everything live that you have, or if you have a request for future topics, I'm all ears. But as we finish up here our week around what I think are the very, very nuanced and under talked about and reported aspects of attuned eating, I want to talk about how, and you all know this, if you're in the depths of doing this work, you know that like there are good weeks and then there are hard weeks, and sometimes it doesn't always, sometimes it feels like a surprise, like, whoa, like why am I thinking about these things, or struggling so bad with this, or hurting, or whatever. And so you might find it's like, this is frustrating and I don't like it, but there's something here. So for example, we talked all week around what's something really important is, wanting to lose weight and trying to be like a very basically body-based eater. That takes a lot of practice. But if you have the additional mind swirl about like, I've got to lose weight to be healthy, I've got to like do a certain thing to be okay, that's really what the process is about. Because if we had no diet culture junk, no self-condemnation, no chronic shame about anything, or we saw our worth as just not in what we do, what we look like, what we eat, it would still take time to like heal, because the key study proves that really clearly that these people were, it took them a minimum of like 8 months, to mostly eat normally, and I think that jives a lot with the journeys that a lot of us had. Like, it takes a year and a half to like not like to feel really quite accurate with hunger and fullness, and that's if we are very consistent. And so that's often why I tell my clients, and that was my struggle, is that like I would do okay for a while, and then there might be a transition in my life that I didn't know how to prepare for, and I would, that lack of uncertainty, that fear of rejection, that what's going to happen, that desire to control outcomes and other people and their feelings and my feelings would be so overwhelming that I would turn back to something that felt like it was something I could do, or something that I knew, or at least it was something that was socially acceptable, which is dieting. And just knowing that that's part of the process, I hope gives you all some relief, or some hope, or some softening the self-judgment and criticism and shame, that this is a process. It takes many of us years. That doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. And I don't want you to feel disheartened when you see somebody, oh, I'm an intuitive eater and I've only been doing this, XYZ months. That's usually the exception, not the rule. And that's okay, because we are unlearning like generational ick, honestly. Not just like, oh, everything in my life is fine, and I just went on a diet, and all the people around me in my environment were very body positive and ate normally and had no issues. I don't know anybody like that. I'll be honest. Even if, good morning, Carol. Even if like food or body worries weren't like the main presenting concern in your environment, we don't live in a bubble. I didn't grow up in a cave in the mountains somewhere with no access to like these things. Because even if we won't have access to it, life can get overwhelming. Sometimes just stuff happens, So anyway, there's that. So I want to give like this shout out to all y'all that feel like I was doing really good and what happened? Well, it's because sometimes we've gotten beyond our capacity and we get scared and we go back to what we think, even though we know it's not true anymore. If you've read any in even one little article about how diets don't work, I mean, they do, but they cause all these disastrous consequences. So it's almost like we kind of know it's like signing up for a surgery that's only 5% likely to actually fix our problem. We're not going to do that. We're going to say, no, I'm going to find another solution to this issue. It's just that it's when so imagine, you understand, like, okay, this is not the solution. However, I've got conditioning, and I walked out of my house this morning, and random people say random stuff about food or body around me all the time that's like, it makes you feel like that you're the wrong one. And it's like, you're not the wrong one. It's in the work around attuned eating is really like, okay, if I can work through the joy of food and body with learning my body signals, learning to discern the difference between physical and emotional hunger, learning that when my system's revved up or I'm feeling a little shut down, that those signals are going to be off and that something's off and I need to slow down, and that's when you're going to see, like, okay, I've got the tools now to, like, even if I'm having a transition in my life, even if I'm in a room full of dieters who can't stop talking about their thing and whatever they're doing, that you know how to kind of like, okay, I feel a little wobbly, but I can go to the bathroom and use my tools in terms of like grounding, orienting, breathing, and how hungry am I and what's going on and what feels too much or not enough. That's a part of the attuned eating process. So it is all the things that you all know about, which is eating truly full of permission. And sometimes eating just because you kind of need to eat because you're thinking about it a lot. And it's also supportive eating so that you can be more grounded. It is like accepting that, like, we don't really have full say over what our bodies need to be to not have the physical, emotional, and mental consequences of food restriction. And if anybody's watching this, like, well, I don't food restrict, I don't. But if you have deprivation thinking of like, I'm not good enough, and therefore everything, or I don't feel good, or I can't move as well, or whatever, it's like recovery is an additive process, and the only thing you take away is what is in your environment that is totally not working, and any thoughts that are like basically honestly cruel. That's it. So the additive is like, okay, so my body hurts. Let's find the root of this body hurt and see what's available and what is in my capacity to do. Sometimes we can't do all the things that would be helpful. Like, I've had times where I needed to make some food changes for, I'll bet, a fairly mild situation, and maybe earlier in my career, I couldn't do that. I couldn't have done those things. I couldn't have eliminated that food, or I couldn't have done the thing. And I had to kind of do the next best thing, and it ended up working out just fine. And you grow your capacity to be able to do things that maybe you couldn't do, 6 months before. And that's fine. Everything kind of has to go, we have to grow. We have to kind of go up versus like, it's not like this. So if you're listening to this, so my restriction's not my issue, I want you to check on any restrictive way of thinking and of believing that the only thing to fix whatever is too much, whether you feel like it's your body size, your eating, is to take away. The only thing I want you to take away is any kind of belief that withholding care from yourself is going to fix it. So if your knee hurts, let's get some physical therapy and strengthening for those knees, or push for a knee replacement if you need to get it, not take away your food. Learn how to eat more attunedly, of course. And I have a lot of resources that will help you do that. I'll post them below. If you need some resources to add in more support when you're feeling kind of wobbly, I'll add that below. Know that, coming up I'm having a password protected site where we can discuss these things and, dig in a little bit more deeply with people who are really willing to take the time to really support themselves and each other. That's going to be available. So we're going to talk about all these things at a more deep level. But for now, I want you to think about, as we wrap up this attuned eating process week. I'm sorry for everybody's coming live. Thank you for later. Thank you for coming live. Please go back to the beginning as I do this wrap up. And so next week we are going to talk about different kinds of hunger. I love this week. It gets a little heady. It wasn't as maybe, I don't know. The first couple of videos were pretty deep, but as we start next week, we're going to talk about all kinds of hunger. I'm super excited about that one because I realized I only have about 2 or 3 videos over the last 4 years about this topic. So it's time for some new ones. It's time for me to add some more nuance, even though the other ones are really good. But we're going to go over different kinds of hunger next week, which I'm super excited about. Nobody talks about this enough, or it's all out there. It's just that I want to put it all in one space, condense it, and then get your questions about, like, if you need some help discerning, like, what's what and what's going on. So that's what's coming for next week. And if you have any other requests for topics that you want me to go into depth on, please let me know, and we'll do that soon. So have a great, it's almost the weekend, so if you are already in your weekend, awesome. If it's a random day in the week that you're watching this, that's fine too. But just know that I really want you to orient towards something good. So I was telling people at the beginning of the video that this is like the second day where it's like the weather is starting to change. Finally, like I'm not sitting out here. Usually I'm sitting out here in these videos sweating because it could be early in the morning, but it's like already so humid and kind of oppressive. But it's shifting. I'm so excited. So have a great weekend. I hope that you have plans for joy. I hope you have plans for really attuning to what your needs are and allowing that. So if that's plans for more fun and joy, please reach for it and take it in and really, really yield to getting yourself satisfied, not only with the food you need, but with the experiences that would feed your body and your soul as well. So thanks so much, and I'll talk to you all soon. Take care.